Greetings and salutations to our wonderful fans all across the world. This is Max Walk and Kevin Corcoran here for episode 3 of the Binge Brothers. So glad to have everybody back. I was on vacation for about a week. We had a tiny bit of a hiatus, but we're hoping to get back onto our hopefully a weekly schedule at this point and really record as often as possible. So as always, I'm your host, Max Walk, and this is my dear friend and co-host, Kevin Corcoran. Dirty Kev, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? I almost tried going Binge Brothers with you, but I decided, we didn't practice.
That's not our intro yet. We'll have to practice something if we're going to do that.
Yeah, we probably should.
Big show this week. There's a lot to talk about. Obviously, with a little bit of hiatus, there's a lot of news talking about some new John Wick news, DC FanDome coming up. Also, just in general, movie theaters are looking to hopefully come back soon, so we'll talk about that, as well as touch on the Emmy nominations a little bit. Our main review of the show is an American Pickle, the new Seth Rogen movie, which is released on HBO Max. And we're also going to be diving into top 5 Seth Rogen movies, which is going to be really fun. And then we'll always, as always, end the show with our Diamond in the Rough recommendation of the week for you guys to watch. So, with that all out of the way, Kevin, let's dive in.
All right, let's dive in. Let's take a swim, Max.
So, kind of getting onto these big news topics kind of start. There's been a lot going on, obviously, over the last few months. Movie theaters have been closed. It looks like they're finally it's in the distance. You can kind of see they're trying to come back. Of course, it's all different across the United States. So, in Minnesota, movie theaters have been able to be open since June. So one of my favorite local movie chains, Imagine, has been open. I've actually gone to probably 7 or 8 movies, a lot of title catalogs. I've seen 3 Harry Potter movies. I've seen Empire Strikes Back. Just last night, I went to The Big Lebowski. So I've been lucky to kind of have that with, a lot of guidelines, a lot of mask regulations, hand sanitizer stations, cleaning in and out. So it's really about when these big chains are going to come and when they can open in big cities, because Minnesota, a little more spread out, they can open a little bit more. But in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, where you're located, obviously, theaters are a little slower to open just because there's a lot more concentrated people.
Yeah.
So that's really the big question.
There are some that are actually open. Sure. It's more of like the local, like the local ones,
sure.
I'd say.
Exactly. Like, so if they're able to open, a lot of these smaller theaters are. That's why I imagine it is, because, they were able to. They probably needed a lot more cash infusion. They don't have, the big corporate budgets that AMC, Cinemark, Regal has. So
right.
That's really the question, is when these big chains can. So as of right now, Kevin, AMC and Regal are still, for the most part, closed, but Cinemark is almost fully open. I think their last phases are this Friday and the following Friday to get fully open across in areas that they can be opened in. So, like, there's still some locations like LA, you can't open theaters in LA yet, or maybe in all of California. I'm not exactly sure. And, some areas where COVID has hit the country harder. But, yeah, Regal and AMC have both stated, they're supposed to go in July. Now they're saying end of August they're going to continue to start to roll out their theaters opening back up in what should be – right now it's looking like the tentative release schedule, which is August 21st, a week from this Friday. There's Unhinged.
The 21st.
The 21st. That's Unhinged,
okay.
Which is supposedly the first movie to come back, which is the Russell Crowe film, along with the Inception re-release, which is big because that's supposedly going to have the first trailer for Dune. It's supposedly going to have a sneak peek of like the first 10 minutes of Tenet, along with being able to see Inception back on the big screen again. And then August 28th is kind of the first big movie still on the schedule, which is New Mutants, the often delayed film from Fox, the spinoff of the X-Men, which I'm really excited for. I think it looks great, even though it's been delayed so much. And then
when was New Mutants originally shot? Like, wasn't it like 2017?
It was like 2017. Like, that's when I think it was supposed to come out either late 2017 or early 2018. And it got pushed like a full year at first to 2019. And then a later date in 2019, and then it got pushed to April 2020. That was kind of when Disney shifted a lot of Fox titles after they finally the purchase of Fox went through. And they were fully set. I think this is the bad thing about New Mutants, which kind of they just got unlucky with, is they were finally set to go. And in April, Disney was going to release it. They had their marketing push, and then COVID hits. Like, everything got delayed. So, like, they just couldn't handle it. So,
considering Disney didn't even have any confidence in New Mutants in the beginning, besides Deadpool, there weren't many movies that Disney was necessarily excited about when when they took over
Yeah.
21st century, 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, which I think is officially now they just call it 20th Century Studios.
Is it 20th Century Studios?
That's what they've rebranded it as. I
Okay.
think now that Disney owns it, which is where they'll be making more R-rated titles. There's a lot of question marks still on that kind of slate coming. So there's so many movies that were already in the pipeline at Fox that they continued out, but they kind of shelved a lot of what they were going to do and kind of started doing their own trajectory at 20th Century. Kind of, I don't know.
Disney's at a point. Disney's at a point where GoPro's owned by Disney. That's not going to be like Disney GoPro.
Yeah.
It's just going to be this is going to be just another studio that may not necessarily have the Disney name, but everyone's going to kind of almost forget Disney owns this and think, oh, this is still the same 20th century. I don't know. I guess with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so basically talking about the theaters reopening. It's very just tough to know because, some of these theaters are going to open and like Tenet, which is now scheduled for September 3rd, is actually releasing worldwide August 26th, I believe, because there's a lot of countries around the world that have their theaters open that they can release this in. And they're going to actually open Tenet September 3rd in the United States slowly in where they can open it. So they're going to open in all the theaters possible, but they're going to continue rolling it out as more and more locations around the U.S. open up. Hopefully they can stick with that. It seems like we're getting closer and that these movies aren't moving, that it's possible new movies and theaters might be coming back towards the end of August. So that's really the only update that we have, and hopefully that continues to be on pace to be able to see new movies soon.
Yeah, I would say just funny coincidence. Interesting that they're going to start off with Inception, just because we know Tenet. It was originally supposed to be like the movie that kicked off all the film, the film experience being back.
Yep.
And now that's being pushed back a little bit behind Inception. I don't know. I think Tenet's secretly an Inception 2 remake, or Inception 2. Essentially, that's just my dream. So yeah, just funny kind of idea.
Inception. The Inception re-release has kind of been since all COVID hit. That was kind of their plan, is to have that be open a few weeks before Tenet to kind of get people back into the theaters, but also get people excited for new movies again. Kind of with that obvious possible connection to Tenet with Christopher Nolan and with similar ideas. So I don't know if I'm gonna be going to see the re-release of Inception, see it on the big screen again.
Yeah, and they may not even have a connection, but it just might because Inception probably isn't Christopher Nolan's number one. Besides Dark Knight, it's probably Christopher Nolan's number one movie.
Yeah, I think I prefer it to Dark Knight. I think I love it.
What I mean is Dark Knight is the most well known. I would say Inception is like the number two, like the one that's like not that's one of his original ideas. I'd say like his best original idea.
Yeah, I think that's definitely his most popular original film. I think it also made the most money out of all his original films. I think it made like $800 or $900 million. So
no shit.
Yeah, it made a lot at the box office. It was a big hit. So, So kind of also talking about that was, with all these delays and studios not making the summer box office revenue they're supposed to usually, the first blockbuster was taken off the schedule, and that's Mulan, the live-action remake at Disney. They officially took it off, and they're releasing it on Disney+, but it's going to be for $30 on Disney+, which is kind of the first time we've seen a streamer release a new product, a new movie or TV show for a price not baked into that subscription cost.
Right. This is just a rent, right? Correct.
It's just officially, yes. So it's a rent, but you pay the $30 and you have that on your Disney Plus forever as long as you have your Disney Plus account. So it's
wow, okay.
So it's not a 2-day rental. You're basically buying it, but it's also baked into your Disney Plus account. So it's not like. So I from what I understand, and I guess everything isn't completely confirmed with all this, but they've said that they're going to you're going to have it on your Disney Plus for as many viewings as you want, but if your Disney Plus account, if you stop paying that, you would not have access to it. So $30 is a big price tag, but it is also a family film. So
sorry, keep going.
I was going to say, so it's kind of like there's different thoughts you can have. Like Disney says this is not a strategy they look to use regularly moving forward. They just had to do something to continue a box office revenue that they really were missing out on. And this is the title they thought could help them most at this time. But also it seems like it could be almost a test to see could you release a big movie like this for $30, for $40 or more and actually make money on that? Is that a profitable point of view? It's kind of scary to see if this big movie, if they could see this as a alternative to releasing a big movie like this in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. I'm conflicted on it. I don't know if somebody like you, so like you can give that perspective, like somebody that lives in Chicago with one roommate, you're not living with family more. I'll probably watch this with my family. We'll rent it. That'll be 5 of us. So really it's only $6 a person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you and your roommate would even be interested in doing this for $30. Maybe you wait for it to be cheaper or until it's actually just a Disney Plus for free. What are your thoughts on this release of Mulan for $30?
Yeah, man. For me, I wouldn't watch this movie unless I made it a thing to watch this movie with a group of people. More than the merrier. I got a big old couch in my living room,
Sure.
and I got a big TV for everyone to watch. At any angle, I promise.
So you can split up the cost.
Exactly. That's kind of my thinking. I think that's what everyone's kind of thinking of themselves when you look at your family. So
exactly.
I mean, 4 people watch together. That's what is that? $7, $7.50 each.
Yeah, I think $7.50 for 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the reason they can do this is because this is mainly targeted towards families, obviously. So all these families, they see for $30. I don't think that's a really big issue because, I mean, you're going to a theater with a family of 4 or 5, you're going to be spending $50 probably on tickets-ish, around that, plus movie, theater popcorn, plus drinks. $30 is really not as bad as a family might think compared to going to a theater. So
right. And I would say even this, too, is Disney right now is they're looking for new content. Almost anyone is trying to get any sort of new content.
Disney Plus
Mulan. And this helps, and Mulan itself is going to help.
Yeah.
Mulan's a big budget film that unfortunately was supposed to come out actually on my birthday. Unfortunately, got pushed now. Yeah, July 24th.
Yep, that was yep. Okay.
So it just it's unfortunate to see. I mean, it's unfortunate if it doesn't work, but I really do hope it actually does work. But I do want to, I'm a little nervous just because something like this, if this really works. It's not. This can't be good for
the theatrical. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the
issue.
That's the issue. Exactly. You're exactly right. So I think for right now, I'm fine with this happening. It's a family film, but I'm also it's an epic. This is a PG-13 war epic almost. The way that they're marketing.
It's not. It's not the cartoon we're used to.
No. They basically have the musical parts out of it. There's no Mushu, the little dragon that Eddie Murphy played. It's realistic. It seems gritty at least compared to other Disney remakes like Aladdin and Lion King. This seems.
It almost seems like the Robin Hood. Did you remember Robin Hood with Russell Crowe?
I do remember that. Yeah,
it was just such a grittier. I didn't like it very much either. Yeah, I mean that's for another.
I get the comparison. Though. So yeah, that's coming out. I have a feeling we'll talk about it on this show. If you guys don't rent it, at least I'm sure I will. So we'll probably I'll at least do a review of it on Binge Brothers in September. That's September 4th that is coming out on Disney Plus. So
I think I read somewhere too, just because they want to get the ball going with our economy. Save your receipts. Anything you do that's entertainment, tax write-off, baby.
Hey, very possible. Very possible. So
hey, that's what I'm saying. But
yeah. Let's kind of get into another news topic. This one probably there's not too much to talk about, but it's pretty exciting. So John Wick 4. The sequel was already announced to come out May 27th, 2022. So that's still 2 years away. They announced that they already greenlit John Wick 5, 2 sequels, and they're shooting these back to back next year.
Okay.
So this is exciting on many fronts. I mean, one, more John Wick. I love these movies. This is probably, I would say it's the action franchise of the 2010s, the R-rated action franchise. I mean, when I look back on that decade, I don't know what else is up to that level. So I love these movies. Keanu Reeves really found new life in his career with them, and just the best action back and forth. So I'm excited to have these.
I'm excited to see next year. How they expand the world. Yeah, I completely agree with you, man.
Yeah, that's the best part about these movies too, is how they've continued to expand. They add new characters, and they bring Halle Berry in the last movie, and they had Common in John Wick 2. They have all these guys that go across the world to different continental hotels. It's really fun. So having these 2, I don't know if they're eyeing this as an end to the franchise, but I think having these 2 movies plotted out, they really could have a really cool overarching story, because that's the cool thing about John Wick is the action's great, but there's always a gritty story that you're always invested in because you care so much about John Wick. So Yeah, I think it's great that they're doing these back to back, and that there'll be about a 3-year wait for John Wick 4. I assume this will help and have John Wick 5 come out quicker than the current break.
Yeah, and if you, I mean, you look at different franchises who have similar success in action. You look at like Fast and Furious. They're now at like their 10th. Plus, they're now expanding into Hobbs and Shaw. That's likely the forecast of what I would say it's probably going to come from John Wick.
There is already there's a spinoff already announced for Starz. They're doing a TV show called The Continental, which is going to be based around the Continental
about
Hotel.
The hotel. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So there's not a lot of news or like details about that, but it's been announced for a few years. They've been working on it, and they've said it's likely going to be released between 4 and 5. So it's still a few years away, but that's just more and more of this John Wick universe, which I love. So yeah, great stuff. All right. Here is another topic we need to dive into really quickly. This is exciting. I think it's something we'll talk about on the podcast, which is DC FanDome. Do you know much about this event coming up, this 24-hour DC FanDome event, Kevin?
Oh, shit. Didn't mean to, my glasses are broken. I'm trying to figure all this out.
All right.
Yeah, DC FanDome. Yeah, it's that dome. It's like the online, similar to like how the NBA and like a bubble dome type thing.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's gonna be.
It's just all virtual. It's almost like a virtual Comic-Con just for DC.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Exactly. So the exciting thing is.
And can I say kudos to DC to turn it around to actually get the chance and opportunity to build this. They didn't completely destroy their brand with how it originally kind of started. Good on them. I'm glad that just shows that DC films are finally catching up with Marvel and everything. The fact they can hold events like this. I love that.
Yeah, it is. And it's a huge event. And so it's August 22nd, a week from Saturday. Just let me list off some of the names that are going to be there. So they're going to be covering The Batman with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson. They're going to probably be releasing some of the first footage of that movie. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is going to be there for his new movie Black Adam.
Black Adam, nice.
So
he's an enemy of Shazam, correct?
Correct, yeah. He's kind of like an anti-hero almost. So he's getting his own movie, Black Adam, which comes out about 6 months before Shazam 2. Okay. So Shazam, the cast of Shazam is always also going to be there. There could be news about those movies. They're going to have Zack Snyder and the cast of Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Very much rumored that they're going to be releasing the first footage or possible trailer for the Snyder Cut, which is really exciting. James Gunn is going to be there with his cast of the Suicide Squad sequel, which I'm really excited for. Mm-hmm. John Cena, who's in, is going to be there. Pete Davidson, Margot Robbie reprising her role as Harley Quinn. Idris Elba, who I believe is playing. I don't want to get this wrong. It's who Will Smith played, Deadshot or
Kill Shot or something like that.
It's something like that. Okay, sorry if I got that wrong, but he is kind of taking over that role. It's a little bit of it's not exactly a sequel. It's more of a reboot, because like Margot Robbie's gonna still be there, but there's gonna be characters played by new people. So there's probably gonna be the first footage from that, which has been all shot. So they're exciting.
Finally putting some money into it. I like it. Respect.
Yeah, and I mean obviously James Gunn, who did both Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He's a great director. I love him, so I can't wait to hear more.
Keep going into this. Quick question now: is Jared Leto returning as the Joker?
Not confirmed. So if he is, it's probably gonna be a surprise or a cameo type deal. So not confirmed. I'm not. I bet against it because of the backlash kind of to him. Even though I really didn't mind his Joker.
I didn't mind it either, and I do remember over time people did kind of start bashing it once they saw the new Joker, I would say. Because before this Joker, I don't think anyone necessarily – I mean, yeah, they hated it. They didn't like him, whatever. I mean, I just didn't think there was as much hatred for him.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. I just think people for a while were so anti any Joker besides Heath Ledger. But I think finally they're getting around to realizing, okay, this is Joker. This Joker character is going to be played dozens of times over the years. It's a character that's so rich that it can be – put in so many different areas that let's just try out new things. So I hope he's in it, but there's nothing to confirm that. I'm just excited to see hopefully the first footage from that. And obviously there's a lot of other things. Wonder Woman 84, probably going to have a new trailer for that. Maybe having the first shot of Cheetah, the villain of that Kristen Wiig is playing. And then also, I mean, that's most of the big movies, but they're also doing the whole CW TV slate. They're going to talk about Doom Patrol, Lucifer, all of their shows, the Harley Quinn animated series. So there's a lot going on there. I just think it's shrewd of them to kind of put this together. People are really excited for it. They have the Snyder Cut news, which people are pumped up for. They put this all together, have a big, people are at home. They're itching for anything that's going to get them excited. And to put this all together in the week and a half that's coming up and release all this new exciting stuff. If it's as big as it sounds, and if they release enough big things as it sounds like they're going to, I think this could be a big winner for DC.
And that is awesome because, I compared this, all right, here, let me bring it back a little bit. So when Comic-Con and when E3 got canceled, those were kind of huge days in the tech world and also in the film day world.
Yeah.
First time ever, these would be canceled. Everyone's depressed. I remember seeing all over Twitter. It was not good. So seeing things like this coming out of thin air, I love to see. Now, one thing that they need to do, and if this could be as successful as, let's say, something like what PlayStation did years ago. PlayStation essentially has taken them out of themselves out of E3, which is the biggest video game conference, to start their own PlayStation pay for play, or I can't think of what the actual name is, but they hold their own conference now, which is actually where they announced where the PlayStation 5 was announced at that conference. So this could be something where no longer DC even DC could find success with this, and this could be their way to truly, I guess, kind of be out of the norm, or I don't know, just to make it to where they gain more attention to the DC name.
Yeah, there's a lot to capitalize on, too, because the virtual Comic-Con just happened about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Kind of a big bust overall. Not a lot of big news, not a lot of huge panels, nothing really exciting coming out of it. Obviously, I think Comic-Con it's really based around being there and having that huge event for all the fans to come to. So that's really – it didn't translate as well because I don't think – the big panels are great there, but I think really people are going there to be around people and to have that experience with other fandoms. So, DC just has a big opportunity here.
It's going to make me being a DC fan, I'm a huge DC guy. I want the success of DC. I've always been Batman before any Marvel guys, honestly, besides Spider-Man. So, truthfully, me being a fan of DC, I love this. This is a day for me. It's the day where I get to celebrate DC, and I don't have to worry about anything other, Marvel's fucking doing or whatever, any other company's doing. This is just for DC. I hope they nail it.
I think they will. I think they've been planning it for a few months, so I think they're going to really knock the socks off of everybody watching. I'm going to be definitely watch. It's a 24-hour event, so I probably won't watch all of it, obviously, but I'm going to try to watch the Batman panel, the Suicide Squad panel, the Snyder Cut panel at least, and I'm sure I'll be also reading all the news and everything that goes down as well, which we'll cover in a few weeks.
More content for us. I'll take it.
Absolutely. And, kind of getting into this, there's been a lot we've already talked about. We have the Emmy nominations. We can kind of talk about that briefly and maybe get more in depth with Alex.
And then I do want to say something.
Okay.
A couple months ago, or probably maybe 6-7 months ago, Max and I, we had a really, really, really deep and really a lot of yelling, a lot of shouting conversation with each other. And it was over a film that, goddamn, got nominated for almost every single Emmy. Or a show that got nominated for almost every Emmy, it seemed like. What was it, 15 Emmy nominations for this show?
I believe so.
I'm just surprised, and Max was right, and I always want to say I'm wrong. Mandalorian deserved to be an Emmy nominated show. It deserves its ranks up there, and I was wrong. I'll admit I was wrong. I didn't think it was going to be up there.
Yeah, it was a big surprise, but I was happy to see it. So, yeah, this was back, I think, last September or October before it even had debuted, where I was saying how The Mandalorian has a shot at – we got in a huge argument how he didn't think The Mandalorian could be an Emmy show.
It could be the Game of Thrones for Disney.
Yeah, and I don't think it's at that level yet where it's getting the acting nominations or anything like that, but it's getting technical nominations, and it got the big one. It got nominated for Best Drama Series, which I don't think it will win, but that's really not the point. It's just that
it's always going to have that attached.
I was able to get one thing right for my life. So, hey, good call for me.
Dude,
so I was
shout out to you, Max.
No, I don't want to gloat too much. I was just happy to see it nominated. I really love The Mandalorian. Yeah. So,
one of my favorite films TV shows of last year.
Yeah,
I keep calling it a film because it's that.
Yeah, it's extremely well done, and season 2 coming in October, November, I believe. So they haven't announced a release date, but they've shot it all pre-COVID. So that's going to be awesome.
There we go. Love it.
Yeah, really. I mean, just kind of before we can maybe talk about Alex more, but just Succession, all the Succession's nominations really is what I was happy about.
Yeah.
Getting best drama again, but finally the actors getting their due with Brian Cox and Jeremy Strong getting best actor nominations, and then Matthew McFadden, Kieran Culkin, and isn't it Nicholas Braun? So 3 best supporting actor nominations, and then also Sarah Snook, who plays Shiv. She got best, I think, supporting actress. So a lot of nominations for Succession, which is my favorite show on TV.
Love it. Same. It's up there, baby. For me, I love that show.
I'm sad that it got delayed for season 3 due to COVID. It was supposed to start shooting in, I think, April, and I've heard that it's not shooting yet. So let's just hope that they can get that on track as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Can
we bring up? I mean, what were the 6 main, or what were the 7 or 8? Now, do you have that up in front of you? The ones that were nominated for the big prize.
Yep. So the big outstanding drama series nominations were Better Call Saul, The Crown, The Handmaid's Tale, Killing Eve, The Mandalorian, Ozark, Stranger Things, and Succession. So they do.
Wow, I'm surprised Ozark's even in there, truthfully.
Well, it's been each season's been nominated and got a lot of nominations. You know, Bateman gets nominated for Best Actor every year, and so does the supporting actress. What's her name? Julia Garner. And I really like Ozark. I actually just watched it, binged that with my dad for the first time.
Oh, when did you do that?
Right when in April, right?
Okay.
Right when it's all hit.
Then,
yeah, exactly. It was a really good binge. I liked it quite a bit.
Same. I binged the season 3. Last part of season 2 and then season 3 I binged.
Yeah, I had never watched it at all, so we just started from the scratch and watched all 3 seasons right after season 3 came out. So, yeah, that was a really good one. Also, I was really happy to see What We Do in the Shadows get a comedy nomination. That show I think is fantastic. I love that show. Yeah. So, and then shout out to Curb Your Enthusiasm as well, which had a really.
I do want to say another thing too. Isn't that crazy that Dave didn't get nominated for anything?
Yeah, that was a letdown, but I also understand. I don't think it's a show that really caters to the Emmy nominations, but it was a huge letdown because I loved Dave. I thought, at least maybe to give Lil Dicky, Dave Bird, Best Actor nomination to get him in there, or Gaeta even for Best Supporting.
Gaeta, I think out of anybody.
Yeah, Gaeta could have been a good one. I mean, when you look at the comedy series, like there's I don't get Kaminsky Method. I don't feel like anybody watches that show. Everything
it's
else
an old
really
show on isn't it like Amazon?
It's a Netflix show. It's a Netflix show. Best lead actor. So Rami Youssef, Eugene Levy, Michael Douglas for Kaminsky Method, Ted Danson, Don Cheadle, and Anthony Anderson for Blackish. I don't know. I don't watch many of those shows, so I don't know what level those guys are performing at. So I can't really play too much. But I just thought Dave was outstanding. So shout out to Dave on Hulu. Watch that show. It's amazing. So with that being said, unless you have anything else, should we get into our feature review of the week?
Yeah, man. Let's get into it.
All right.
Sorry, I'm trying to think of a noise to make. There's some transition.
Our feature review is for the HBO Max original movie, An American Pickle, starring Seth Rogen. Man. Seth Rogen double billed, directed by Brandon Trost. Seth Rogen playing Herschel Greenbaum and Ben Greenbaum playing Herschel, who's from the 1920s, and his great-grandson. Seth Rogen, basically Herschel, falls into a vat of pickles in 1919, I believe, maybe 1939, and he gets brined in the pickle juice and then comes back the same age, ageless, about 80 years later in New York, in the heart of America, and he meets his great-grandson, and he kind of assimilates into the modern world. So a lot of things going on here, pretty high-concept comedy coming from Seth Rogen and his team. Kevin, let's hear you. What are your initial thoughts on An American Pickle?
Yeah, man. So I went into this movie. I watched it last night with my girlfriend. I went into this movie actually not really having the highest of expectations, truthfully. I'd seen a trailer, didn't really impress me. My girlfriend made me change it. I was so dumb. She's like, "Why is Seth Rogen doing this movie?" So the trailer, we didn't both kind of agree. We didn't think did a good service of hyping this movie up. But to my surprise, I was gladly entertained. It was another one of those, I didn't really know much going into it, didn't do any research, and I was happy to see that there was, some pretty good humor. I compared this to almost like a modern day Elf in the sense of how you got this
fish out of water
character out of his element completely, and just how you're watching these two try to interact. It's like Elf with that kid, or it just it gave me those kind of vibes. And then he had to travel in the snow with them and stuff. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good film. Personally for me, I'd give it about a 7 out of 10 for me. I enjoyed it better than I was expecting. There's some scenes where they had Tim Robinson in it, which I thought were just hilarious.
Yes.
Any scene he was in, I just knew.
Yeah.
Like there was some random, or when he got canceled. I think that was hilarious when that happened. Just this movie does a pretty funny job of showing how just how much lunacy we all as human beings have. And just kind of, I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. I just thought it was a pretty good movie. And Seth Rogen, I thought, added a pretty good character to his repertoire. What about you, Max?
100%.
This is one of your favorite actors.
Yeah, Seth Rogen. He's one of my favorite comedic actors.
I gotta go grab the water.
No, sure. I'm just going to kind of get into my thoughts. I pretty much agree completely with Kevin. It's not the best Seth Rogen film. It's not Seth Rogen film that brings the most emotions, the most laughs, or the most feels out in you, I suppose, compared to like a 50-50 or like a Pineapple Express or If This Is the End. It doesn't have those laughs, or it doesn't have those emotions really, but it does a lot of things really well, and it's just a really solid watch. So it's really, I think truthfully it lives and dies by Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen is so good, and part of that is my bias towards Seth. I've loved him in almost everything he's in, but having the dichotomy between him as this Herschel, who's really over 100 years old, and he's comes to New York and he has to find a way to live, and he meets his grandson. Having him playing against himself was really done well with some outstanding cinematography. The way they were able to shoot this and have both of them in the same shot, really, I know that it's been done many times, but it was really kind of cool to see. And it was just an enjoyable time overall. I kind of just was talking about how I think this really lives and dies by Seth Rogen. I mean, having him play both the top two roles, it brings a lot of laughs when you see things from an old person's perspective, from like the 30s into modern day America, having those thoughts. It brought a lot of really funny moments, and Herschel kind of starts his own pickle company, which is really fun having to see how that builds up. And like I kind of said this already when you were gone, just going to mention you, is like, I don't think this is his funniest film. I don't think it has the most emotions, maybe that like a certain film like 50-50 has, but it just does a lot of things well, and like it's enjoyable and it has good laughs. It's not the biggest laugh out loud moments of Seth Rogen's career, but it's just really enjoyable. And at this time, like, it's like a nice, fun family movie to watch, really. That was kind of really what I really enjoyed about it, is how it had those themes of like family and, how, living with family who are older, who were brought up in different times, and how you have to kind of talk with them and who they may have different ideas about the world, and how you have to like understand that and like and live with that, but also, love them for being family and for like try to teach them a little bit about new ways and like how things are done, and like that was just, I just really enjoyed that. It wasn't outstanding. I gave it a B, so that's really a 7 out of 10, about the same grade as you. So I just think it was really well done, over the top. Seth Rogen is just, it really lives and dies by him, and he does well. It's him. He's almost in every shot of the entire movie. So if he messes it up, the movie's going to be bad, but he knocks it out of the park, really. And I think it's really well done overall.
Yeah, Lindsay gave comparisons of the people, the humor with the human beings, like the citizens, was very comparable to like Parks and Rec. Just how kind of just like they made the human, like us human beings, and just kind of dumb, which I liked. I don't know. There was a scene with Tim Robinson where
the Tim Robinson scene was fantastic. I love.
Oh my gosh, that was one of the funniest. It was just out of nowhere, so random, and it just there was some comedy which is like where I didn't expect this to happen, or like when he's getting when Herschel's trying to walk away from like the camera. I think after after tweeting or something like that, or I forgot, or was it after the health one where the camera found? Oh yeah, I think it was after
after the health department comes and has to shut down his thing. Yeah, and then he like hires unpaid interns. Like I can hire interns like slaves. It's like there's just a lot of fun things they did, and I really enjoyed the scene also where they had the debate, and then how like he's saying things that are just so wrong, but like people are just spinning it as like he's like this.
He's like making metaphors.
So smart. Yeah, it was really well done.
You're playing, while they're playing checkers, you're playing chess.
Yeah, he has no clue. He just is like talking what he believes. He has no clue about anything. Yeah. So it was a really fun movie. So that's most of my thoughts on An American Pickle.
It's good. It was good. It's not bad. Yeah, I can see why it wasn't in theaters.
It's not a top 5 Seth Rogen movie, but it's enjoyable. I mean, I understand that it probably was the right move to pull this and put it on HBO Max. It's a perfectly enjoyable flick to throw on a Friday night with your loved one or with family, just to have a good time, but not have too high of expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. I would
absolutely. So with that, kind of the Seth Rogen theme of the week, we decided kind of to put together our top 5 Seth Rogen movies, our top 5 Seth Rogen movies lists. We've got them both on our separate ends, so we're kind of going to go back and forth. How I think we should do it is that we start with our 5, we go one by one. If one of us has a movie higher on our list, then we say like punt, basically, or like we'll say, I have that higher, and then we'll wait and we'll talk about it at the same time when we reach that on the higher point of our list. Does that sound good to you?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. And I would say with my list, I do want to make a point. My list is mainly a list of, I think it's characters, how I liked his actual, like, because not all these movies that star in necessarily, but it's a mixture of his character and if I like the movie itself. So that's kind of how I did mine as well. Cool.
I kind of looked at it a little bit similarly. I mean, I kind of kept off movies where he has smaller roles.
Yeah.
We can talk about it, obviously. So I'm sure we're in the same with that. So without further ado, why don't you start with your number 5 Seth Rogen movie?
So my number 5, because I was so caught in between because I liked both movies. You know what? Screw it. No, it's one. The only one person for one movie for the number 5, and that's Neighbors. I thought his role in Neighbors. Yeah, didn't
not on my list.
Didn't love the movie, but also didn't. I actually liked his character in it. I thought, and I've seen Neighbors. I feel like 3 times, and I haven't hated any of them or any of the watching. So I feel like it's probably in there with me. And when I looked at the list, I just kind of compared. I was like, yeah, I'd put Neighbors probably as my number 5, just because, I mean, it wasn't bad. And I think he created a little franchise, and it created something we've never seen before, which is a frat house against a neighbor. I thought it was kind of cool. I was in college during this time. So yeah, it kind of
I think it came out for me when I was still in high school. So I mean, I thought it was really funny and I enjoyed it. I don't like Neighbors 2, but Neighbors 1, I think it's a really enjoyable movie. It's definitely right around there in my honorable mentions. It would definitely make my 6 to 8 kind of number, but it just was slightly bumped off. But yeah, I think that's a really good choice. Zac Efron's funny, and Rose Byrne, who plays his wife, I always love her. So yeah, it was a good movie. This is the thing about Seth Rogen: he has so many good, solid movies that, like, if you like one a little bit more than I like one, it's like that makes sense. It's like I can totally see that. So my number 5, I don't know if it'll be on your list or not, but it's kind of got a personal memory for me. And the first time I watched it, I loved it so much, and I think it's waned a little bit since. But the first initial watch was one of my favorite movie-going experiences ever, and that is Sausage Party, the animated movie. Now, this came out the summer before I was going to college.
Can I say this is my number 4?
Oh, it's your number 4. Okay, well then we can get into it now because it's your next one. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of get into my thoughts on it. So, like, the first time I watched it, I saw it in the theater with my friend Matt Erickson, and we had, some substances possibly before the viewing, and let's just say it enhanced it, and it made it one of the funniest things I've ever watched in that moment. So, like, looking back on it, like, watching it multiple times, I didn't laugh quite as much, but that first viewing, I think I laughed at almost everything in the entire movie. I just thought it was so funny.
It's just so ridiculous probably to you in that state of mind. Yeah.
So ridiculous. But like, also look back on it, I do think it's very smart the way they wrote it and how they make fun of everybody in it. Like, they make fun of every single person, people, race, gender, whatever. They make fun of everybody, and They don't let anybody off the hook. They just go for it. And, like, kind of having the allegory of people and races to food, I just thought was hilarious. And Seth Rogen, Kristen Wiig, Jay Baruchel, he's in that too, right? He's one of the voices. Yeah. Just a hilarious movie. So your thoughts on Sausage Party, number 4?
Yeah, number 4, Sausage Party was just a funny movie. I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it, I think when it released, and I thought it was just hilarious. The second time I watched it. First time I thought this is like, silly. I must have just been angry or something. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I like the fact that, any parent with their kids could see it on TV and think, oh, okay, hey, Sausage Party. Okay, let's watch this. And then they just get their mind blown or just like their days ruined. So that for me also was a good thing for me to put on my list. Yeah. But I think it was just funny having Michael Cera, having
Cera as well.
Jonah Hill in it.
All of his cronies.
Who's the guys? Nick Kroll. Nick Kroll's in it too. He's the bad guy.
He plays the douche, right?
Yeah, the douche. Yeah. So just a lot of people. Kristen Wiig's in it as well. Just
she plays the bun. Cast. The bun, right? Yeah, he plays the sausage.
Yeah, damn that bun. Oh my god.
Yeah, huge cast. James Franco's in it. Yep, he's there's a lot of Bill Hader.
Pretty much all of his friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So great to have that one on the list. So I guess moving into my number 4. My number 4, I'm assuming you're about to say punt, and that is Pineapple Express.
Your number 4 is Pineapple Express? Cool. Yeah, that's fine. That's on mine, but it's higher.
Okay, so that's a punt. We'll talk about it when we get to you. Cool. So with that, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is 50-50.
That's my number 3.
Yeah, nice.
Look at that.
All right.
Awesome. All right, you get into it first. You brought it up first.
So I saw this years ago in high school. I remember it was just one of those movies where at one night, late at night, I was just like, you know what? I read that it was a great film for I wanted to watch with my bro. I wasn't necessarily dating anybody in high school, so I only had hung out with some dudes. So we're like, let's watch a movie. Oh, Seth Rogen and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Okay, we love this, and it just blew our minds. Just the fact that this is just two guys who are with each other through thick and thin, through the worst. Just the love, the brothership. It reminds me. Yeah, it reminds me of. Yeah, I love that. God, shout out Luke Humble. It just resonated with me somehow. Like, even though I wasn't, going through the same trials and tribulations as Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I just knew that having a friend, knowing that you have a friend that's always there, is always going to be there through thick and things with you, even when you got a cheating girlfriend and all that nonsense. He was still there, and he's the one who kicked her out too. That scene, one of my favorite all-time scenes in movies.
Such a great scene
where he comes in after going to an art gallery, and then he sees her making out with Jesus, that Jesus-looking motherfucker.
What is he? Seth Rogen just goes, "I got that bitch," or something like that.
I got you finally. I got you. Holy shit!
I finally proven you're a horrible person.
Yeah. And Hayes does it perfectly.
He does.
Holy shit! Holy shit! It just Hayes has the. You guys should, hopefully he'll be on this show sometime. Hayes Jorgensen. But yeah, so just an amazing scene.
It's great. I watched it for the first time in high school as well, and I really liked it at the time. But I rewatched it again. I think 2 years ago with you actually, and it resonated even more with me. Just the story of one person going through something so hard and having your best friend really to hold on to and to have support you through it. It's just so
Seth Rogen, I love it. He goes, "What do we do?" Right when he hears about it, he's like, "All right, what do we do?"
Yeah, he's ready to go in. He shaves his head for him. He does everything he can. I love that. A really also nice role for young Anna Kendrick, who I think is really good in it. She plays his therapist.
This is before Pitch Perfect, I think, too.
Yeah, correct? It is. It may even just be a year before Pitch Perfect. It came out in 2011. Pitch Perfect,
so Pitch Perfect, I think, was 12, yeah.
I think. Maybe 13.
13, maybe,
but
I don't know.
Either way, Anna Kendrick, who I love Anna Kendrick. She's, personal crush of mine. So, there's not much more to be said about 50-50. It's a fantastic movie. With that, what is your number 2, Kevin Corcoran?
Yeah, man. My number 2 is This Is the End.
That's my number 2 as well.
Nice. All right, and then you can guess what my number 1 is. Then.
Of course, we can get into that next. But,
Let's go in it. You want to start this one?
Yeah. Sure. It's 2. This is the end. Another one I watched with my family actually in high school, and I thought it was just really funny. And then I rewatched it again about a year ago, and it's just the absurdity of it is so hilarious, and the idea of them playing themselves, kind of like hyper realized versions of themselves, is so funny. Seth Rogen and Jay Baruchel, Jay kind of being the outside guy, doesn't really love the Hollywood crew, but loves Seth. Kind of like having like, they're best friends, but like Seth has this crew too, but like they're still got that relationship. And then bringing in a world apocalypse to it. So funny. I mean, James Franco is great as always.
Yeah.
And Danny McBride, who is maybe the standout of the whole thing, is just so funny. I mean, his intro, when he wakes up, he has no idea there's an apocalypse, and he just is dancing through and then eats like all the food. Yeah, and then also, the surprise at the end with him and Channing Tatum, kind of him running a sex and murder cult almost. This apocalyptic world is just so funny, and I just think this is fantastic. It's an idea that could have gone so bad that went so right. And another shout out to Michael Cera, who plays just like a coked out version of himself.
Yeah, an insane version of himself.
It's just so funny. Emma Watson's in there too. Like all these ladies. It's just so well done. It was also the first movie he directed with his producing partner. Evan Goldberg. There you go. You knocked it out. Just a really well done part there. What do you have to say about this at the end?
Yeah, man, it was just one of those, like, when I was in high school, I remember I would always go with the bros on, like, a Friday night. It'd be, like, 5 or 6 of us that would go to a movie on, like, a Friday or Saturday night in the middle of Iowa. And we would – I just remember this is one of those movies where it's, like, the beginning of summer. It was always, like, this and then – or, like, Hangover. It was, like, a summer – or, like, every year where there was, like, a beginning of the summer movie, and this was, like – one of the bigger blockbusters, I guess, technically, because of how
comedy
big the cast
blockbuster
was.
Maybe, yeah. I mean,
but it was just insane. You've never seen it with this many A-list actors and all these guys finally kind of together, and it was the perfect ingredients for one hell of a movie to me. I mean, one of my favorite seasons is when Jonah Hill is getting fucked by the devil or like the demon or alien or whatever, and he wakes up the next morning and he just goes, so something totally not chill happened last night. And then later on, he ends up getting taken over by the demon, and he's like freaking out, shooting blood. And everyone's like, oh my God, what's going on? And Seth Rogen or James Franco, one of them goes, grab the Snickers. He's having a diabetes problem. Like, earlier in the movie, he says something like, I need that Snickers. My blood sugar. His blood sugar. Yeah, they thought his blood sugar was down, going down.
Jonah Hill. I forgot to mention Jonah. He's fantastic in it as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jonah Hill just being the overly nice guy, just like, hey, what's up, man? Like, just me.
Yeah, he's
you guys all hate. So it's just funny movie, good movie.
Really great movie. A lot of laughs in that. So, with that being said, your number one. As kind of already previously alluded to, my number 4 is
Pineapple Express.
Pineapple Express. Take it away. It's your number 1 Seth Rogen movie.
Yeah, man. It was my first ever rated R movie I could watch. My mom let me rent.
Wow.
I was like, Mom, can I rent this? And she wasn't like, what's it rated? She's like, rated R? Put it in the car. And I did, baby. And I watched that movie. And I remember not getting a single thing. I was not a smoker. I didn't know anything about weed or anything.
Yeah.
So I remember watching, just thinking, this is sick because this is rated R. And I'm watching boobs and drugs. And I'm seeing just like, swearing constantly. My mom's right next to me. And I'm like,
a lot of violence too.
Yeah, violence. It was just, the epitome of just how happy I was with that. So love that movie. And then ever since then, it still just holds up to even today, whether you're, stone cold sober or stoned, you're going to like you. It's a very good movie. So I've always enjoyed it. It was my number 1 for Seth Rogen. I can watch it and laugh my ass off almost any second with it on. It's one of those like where it's like Superbad, Pineapple Express, and like, I'm trying to think I can't think of the third, but it's like, one of those movies where it's just so funny every watch. So just really enjoyed it. And
it's so good. I mean, that's kind of also why it's a little bit lower on my list, because I also watched it when I was younger. It was on like a HBO or a Showtime or something. So I just watched it in my room by myself. My parents were upstairs, already a movie, and I thought, oh, this is funny. But I also didn't understand.
You had HBO growing up?
We did. We had most of those.
You spoiled kid.
So that's my first experience with it, which I thought it was like, I had the same thrill of it being like, oh, it's a rated R movie I'm watching by myself, kind of like I could get in trouble. But then as I've watched it more and more growing up, obviously the more of the laughter and the jokes make sense to me, and they hit me harder while also, having the same, overall enjoying of the movie that I've always had. So I've always really thought it was great. And another great Danny McBride performance. That's kind of a theme of Seth Rogen movies. His Danny McBride is fantastic.
Yeah, those two working together.
And this is really the first time that James Franco and Seth Rogen started doing their thing together.
Definitely was.
Which they've, spread onto a lot of movies, obviously, with This Is the End and also The Interview, which I do like The Interview. And
I feel like this movie helped James Franco's career, truthfully.
It did.
I mean, he was in Spider-Man, and then he was in, Annapolis. And then other than that, I mean, what else?
I think he was probably going down towards, like, a drama role where he only gets those, and he got to pitch this, high concept weed comedy with Seth Rogen.
Yeah, weed action comedy.
Yeah, exactly. And like the action is also something that's really funny that kind of grows well within the movie. And I just think it was great for James to really show that he can do anything as an actor. He's hilarious, but he can also do the serious roles. He can be in the Spider-Man movies. And it's just a really great movie overall. I think as it might creep up a little bit more as I get older. It's just right now, I haven't watched it as much as probably the top three. So that's where I go. So
that's what we were talking about. I was like, how did this start up? But okay.
I don't know.
Keep going.
No. So that's kind of all I have. Unless you have anything more, we are going to my number one, which is going to be The Outlier. You don't have it on your list. I don't even know if you like the movie. I don't care. I actually don't think you like the movie. It's my number one movie, Seth Rogen. It's Long Shot.
That's your number one movie?
It's my number one Seth Rogen movie.
I thought, are you trying to piss me off or annoy me?
I am. No. When I was full disclosure, I knew it was making my list immediately. So I'm sitting here, and I wrote down 6 Seth Rogen movies, and have all these. Superbad was my first one to cut out of my top 6. So Superbad barely misses it. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, what have I watched the most? What is the most rewatchable? What do I like? What happens? And I go, if I'm going to watch, he just walked out. So I'm just going to continue talking. If I'm going to sit down and watch a Seth Rogen movie, it's going to be Long Shot, okay? This movie, I came out last year. I watched it in the theaters, and I loved it. It's funny, but it's also heartfelt. It's a good rom-com. And Seth Rogen is so great and has such great chemistry with Charlize Theron. I just fell in love with this movie. I connected a lot with Seth Rogen's character, having big character flaw, having to really realize how you can be happy and kind of overcome your big character flaw. That just always spoke to me. This movie came on HBO, and I've watched it about 5 times on HBO. I keep rewatching this movie, and I love that you leave right when I'm doing my whole spiel, so now you don't even know what I just said. I think it really sticks out to me because, it's so rewatchable. I think I've watched it 5 times since it went on HBO. I can put it on whenever I want. I just have a smile the entire time. It's funny, but it's also heartfelt, and it's just the chemistry between Charlize and Seth. Like, I've already talked about this kind of when you're gone. It's just, I think of any Seth Rogen character, I can relate to this one so much just because he's kind of a guy who, he's really funny. He's a good guy, but, he's kind of got a character flaw. He always he looks at things one way and he can't see any different sides, different things. And just having him go through that character arc of finding love and finding happiness and realizing you have to be kind of a person that can mold and change as you go through different experiences and different phases of life and not just being stuck in one rut has always spoken to me. And also I'm such a sucker for Charlize Theron. And the more I watch this, the more I love it. It's I think maybe the movie besides Avengers Endgame last year that I've watched the most that came out in 2019. So when I was kind of going through my top Seth Rogen movies, it made sense. It's what spoke to me the most, and it's what popped up to me as my number one. So that's why.
Okay, no, that's all. I can agree that can be your number one.
Hey, maybe you give it another shot. I suggest you do because love it.
Maybe I'll watch Without Ninja sometime or something. I don't know. We'll
see.
Right.
That is our top 5 Seth Rogen movies. I did write down a few honorable mentions. Superbad was my first cut. I just don't rewatch it as much. I think I need to watch it more.
Yeah, I think you do too. My God, it's so good.
It's really funny. I've loved it every time I watch it. I just haven't.
But it's not really a Seth Rogen
That's also why he plays the cop. He's not the main character, so I mean he's in it a lot. So I think you could definitely he's a main supporting character. The Night Before I had down, which I think is really really great Christmas movie and a good comedy. And then
that was a funny movie. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
And then kind of the two Anchorman and Step Brothers, where he has really smaller roles. But I still love this movie, so I'll just mention it like that. But I wasn't going to put him in just because his roles are really small compared to these other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Any other
I would
movies?
say Steve Jobs. I thought he was actually a good job in Steve Jobs.
I need to watch that. I have not seen Steve Jobs, so that's why I can't mention that, so I don't have any opinion. I would.
Oh, you haven't watched it?
I haven't watched it. I would shout out The Interview. I like that movie a lot. And I don't really. I guess he's in The Disaster Artist, kind of as a smaller role. So I do like The Disaster Artist a lot, but smaller role.
He's the cameraman, right?
He's the cameraman, exactly. Yeah. So
it's pretty funny as cameraman.
Yeah, he is. That's a really great movie. I just think if he had a larger role, it probably would be maybe fighting for that 5 spot. But that's really all we have for top Seth Rogen movies. So let us know what you guys think about doing these top 5 countdowns. We'll maybe try to do one every week. It's a lot of fun. So with that being said, let's kind of round it out with our weekly Diamond in the Rough recommendation to all of our viewers out there of something we're watching or something that we love that we think you should watch. So, Kevin, with that being said, what is your pick for the week?
Awesome, amazing. So my pick of the week, I kind of have a mixture. It's a mix between two. I'm watching Hard Knocks right now. It's a show on HBO. It's about it's essentially just giving you kind of really inside look into like the training camp of an NFL team every single year. They've been doing it for 15 years now, and this season's kind of like a cooler year because it's just with one team. It's with two teams. It's the Los Angeles Chargers and it's the Los Angeles Rams, I think, as they're about to both play in the same stadium.
Right? It's the first time to them too, which is very cool.
I think they had to do two just because with everything going on right now. I mean, they weren't even able to do anything. There's no preseason games. It's so far is not that good, just because it's all about COVID-19.
It's only one episode, really, right? So far,
yeah. So far, it's just been about COVID-19.
I need to watch
to use sports as a way to get away from it all.
Did it just come out last night? The first episode?
Last night.
Okay, yeah. So I haven't watched it yet. I might watch it this afternoon before Dynamite starts. But I've always enjoyed Hard Knocks. So
And other than that, I would say I'm trying to think if there's any other show I've been trying to start right now. Just because I was so busy over the last few weeks. Here about Max. You go into yours, and if I think of one, I'll say it. But so far, Hard Knocks.
Absolutely. So I will quickly mention the Umbrella Academy. I'm 6 episodes into season 2.
Okay.
I love season 1. Season 2 has been really strong. Season 1 ended with kind of a great little twist that's been turned into a really exciting idea for season 2. It's a comic book based film. I think almost maybe it's based on a graphic novel about a group of kids who were all born on the same day that were all born with superpowers, basically. And this man, Reginald Hargreaves, adopts them and there's 7 of them, and he creates the Umbrella Academy. And this actually takes place like 20 years later when they're all like young adults, and they've kind of disbanded the Umbrella Academy, and they basically deal with the apocalypse coming up. And a lot of really fun stuff. Solid comedy, but really fun kind of interplay and idea, like familial themes basically within these brother and sister relationships. I just really enjoy that, and I recommend that. Excuse me. And I do have one movie I'm going to recommend. I rewatched it for the first time in a year or two. I love this movie when it came out, and I love it maybe even more now. It's the Ryan Reynolds and Russell Crowe action comedy, The Nice Guys.
Oh, yeah.
2016. It's just a movie that really never got its due. It didn't make enough money at the box office. They had ideas for a sequel. They could never do it because they probably released it at the wrong time, but it's such a fantastic movie. It's funny. Ryan Gosling and – did I say Ryan Reynolds at first? Ryan Gosling.
You said Ryan Reynolds,
my bad. Ryan Gosling. That's my bad. Ryan Gosling is fantastic in it with his daughter, and Russell Crowe is great as always. And it's just a great mystery like they play detectives, basically independent detectives, and it's a great mystery. It's really funny up and down, and it's got a lot of cool, like I think 70s action. I think it takes place in either 60s or 70s, and it's just great original.
Los Angeles, right?
In Los Angeles, yeah, it's kind of circles around the porn industry, and that's basically. I'll just leave it at that. It's a kind of a big unwinding mystery that kind of keeps playing out throughout the whole film, and yeah, it's just a blast, really, and I give it a huge recommendation. I believe it's on HBO right now, HBO and HBO Max. So if you have those services, check it out. I think it's definitely worth everybody's time. More people need to watch it.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, man. I haven't seen it in a few years. I think I'm gonna rewatch that as well. What's it on? Sorry, HBO.
It's on HBO. Yep, HBO Max. Yep. Cool. I think it's on HBO. So if you have either, it works. So. Yeah. So without that, that's kind of our supersized episode. I think we went over an hour. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Dang.
So
look at us.
Fantastic. Look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
I thought we didn't even have enough content for 30 minutes. We pushed that an hour.
No, we did. And you know what? That could happen when it's just two buddies talking shit about movies. I love it. So, yeah, we'll be back. I think we may record episode 4 this weekend, actually, and review Project Power, the new Netflix movie. Kind of superhero movie. It looks really interesting with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Jamie Foxx.
Yep.
That's our plans. Maybe we'll get deeper into Emmy nominations then. And with that being said, Kevin, where can people find you?
The return of Alex as well.
The return of Alex.
Yeah, and you guys can find me online. I think it's Mr. Kevin Corcoran on Twitter. You know, also look up Just Three Jobbers on YouTube. Watch and subscribe to the channel and check those videos out. We got one hell of a review on wrestling right now. So
yeah, we're pushing like 30 episodes of that. And yeah, you can find me at ZwachMax, ZWACHMAX on Twitter. And yeah, that's basically it for me and Kevin. And we thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you next week on the Binge Brothers.
Peace out. Love you.